Guys, welcome to Clockwork, Dandy Noodles for another breakdown of Season 2 of Ancient Magus Bride, episode number 7. I am about to hit food coma levels, so I'm trying to get this video done. I made the most amazing curry rice. I just want a nap. I'm very excited to break this one down because there's lots of little tiny bits that I always like remarking on, and there's a few this week that I found myself wanting to comment on, so it was great to bring those up in my notes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys are having an amazing week, and hopefully you guys too are eating some amazing food. Do make sure you've checked out my midway review where I've crowned top 3 OPs, EDs and current standing animes. It is only halfway. Things are going to change. Let's get straight to it because I've got a lot to say. I will shamefully say it took me way too long to work out that it was Philomira and not Joseph. I thought it was Joseph in the tree, and I thought Joseph was playing with Alice for some reason. Rion looks a little bit like Alice as a kid. Took me way too long to figure that one out, and I apologise for that. I felt bad. I was like, oh, of course it wouldn't be those two. There's no way they'd be playing together as kids. It makes more sense that these two obviously knew each other because they're from the 7 big families. The bit I found perhaps most unbelievable this week was actually the fact that the school was offering rock climbing. Technically they say bouldering, and I had to go and have a little look at what bouldering was. Bouldering is climb close to the ground without the use of harnesses. Some of the students are using harnesses, so rock climbing is correct for those guys. I think Chisei just falls straight flat on her face. That is bouldering. Very excited. Thank you for making me to go and check that out, Ancient Magus Bride. But at the same time, very few schools I know of, even some of the expensive rich ones, because I live near Cambridge, they don't really offer rock climbing that I'm aware of. My university had a rock climbing wall, but you had to pay for that. None of them would straight up take you there for lessons. That was perhaps the most unbelievable part for me. The richer schools, they focus on lacrosse. Weird sport which involves nets and sticks, and I've never played it, but it is a very English sport. Rugby as well, something that is often seen a lot in the private boarding schools and stuff. Those are the sports that they focus mainly in on. I think Strood is recalling Dresden. Dresden was blitzed in World War II by the Allies. It was actually wiped out pretty much to the ground. Nowadays, Dresden has been completely rebuilt. I have a friend who lives in Frankfurt. He often says that Dresden is ugly. I think he's being very harsh. It's rebuilt in concrete, so it's pretty much a concrete city, a concrete jungle with no real life. If you've ever been to Bavaria, you will know what I mean when you see those houses. Those houses are spectacular. They are beautiful. There's ancient beams and everyone's got paintings and sculptures on them. It's a very nice little sequence where the two are talking about memories, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing to remember everything. I think it can be pretty damaging to completely bury a bad memory. Sometimes to aid healing, it's better to face them head on. Philosophical debate that Elias is having. I like Ancient Magus Bride for that. It does make you think about a few things. Elias is truly managing how to ghost people. That is cool. I'm surprised Chisei couldn't see it because she also sensed Philomira when that wasn't supposed to be seen. I guess Elias is his own level of talent. Narcissist, I think that's his name. He manages to sense Elias in this form, which I don't know if it's good or bad yet. I can't really read him. Elias doesn't sense any negativity from him, so I will have to trust him for now, because I think Narcissist, he's doing recall for someone. I think he's reporting back to the head because he's obviously interested in who's in the school. Chisei doesn't do great at bouldering, which I think is quite refreshing to see because she's very good at a lot of things, but sometimes it's quite refreshing when you see a character who can't do something. I guess it makes him relatable. Felt bad when she fell down. I was expecting Elias to go and try and break her fall, but obviously that would give away that watching her from the sidelines. I already got a nice negative vibe when Philomira vanished to go and see Grandma. The raven itself seemed to be emitting a black, nasty aura. Then Veronica says that she's going to have to console her when she comes back. I was like, great, this is going to be a horrible visit, isn't it? The lighting in the building itself, it's dark, there's low lighting, it's edgy, and I'm like, oh, okay. I wasn't impressed with the conversation the two are having about her. Obviously, they're there to pick on her. She's lower than them. They see her as somebody who's a usurper to the bloodline or something. They're gonna be nasty. It seems like they were doing it a lot for the audience. So this is this, by the way, this is this. And I'm like, wouldn't you two already know this information? So wouldn't it just be easier just to smirk and just hurt her feelings? One of those conversations which felt a little bit info dumpy, but I understand why you did it. Manor itself is quite cool. It really hit me as a English manor house, and how you can tell sometimes if something is in the UK. Look at the chimneys. If it has stupid amount of chimneys, it is in England. We went through a phase, especially around Henry VIII. Lots of buildings suddenly gained a lot of chimney stacks, and most of them don't work. A lot of them are just for show. Equal numbers on certain sides. Sometimes it was patterns. Stupid amount of chimney stacks. So if you can see tons and tons of chimney stacks, most likely it's in the UK. You want to know something's Tudor as well. You look at the building. If it's slanted, the wood is warping and it's at an angle, and you go in and the floor's at an angle, that is an authentic Tudor building. I have been in a few where you can roll a marble across the floor and it ends up somewhere completely different because of how warped the floor is. Sadly, back into a very cold world. Philomira is not really treated like a human in a sense. She's really looked down upon. She's beaten quite harshly. It's just that cold vibe you're getting from the grandma's study as well. Didn't like it. She was also panicking as well. You could see she was rattled by Chisei. This is the house of information collecting, so obviously it's a problem if she's going to be found out. Definitely rattled by Chisei, which is concerning, so I don't want her to come up with anything bad. When grandma was about to go and give her a gift, we go to Alice, who was sharpshooting on the range. I thought it was a really nice transition. I liked the concentration. I also liked how precise it was. Determined to do her work, putting in a lot of effort, because I think I said last week, I think it's more down to actions. If she wants to be seen as somebody who doesn't need protecting, prove it. Get stronger. I like her determination. I think it's quite a nice little sequence. And her honesty as well, actually hitting it off with a tutor. A bigger budget on ammo and caps, which I think is really, really nice. Her being a bit more honest with her feelings, maybe even show you as a bit more reliable. I like to think, especially with tutors, they can sense when a student is really putting in the effort. The little private conversation between Renfred was quite nice as well, because he's naturally going to open up at this point. We were also told that he just drinks and opens up. It's normal for him. We get a nice little look into his feelings. This didn't feel like an info dump. This was actually a much better sequence for me because he's drunk. That conversation with Alice is playing on his brain. This makes a lot more sense for him to be discussing it, and he simply just doesn't want her following in his path. Doesn't want her to experience. He wants better for her. The point of the conversation is that you can't sometimes decide that for people. You have to let them decide, and I think that's why you've got the balance between Strood and him. You should really let that person figure it out on their own, but it's nice to see that he's trying to protect Alice in a sense. He just doesn't want her turning into him. I want you to be laughing, happy at Renfred, the super lightweight, going down quite quickly. A very cheap night indeed for him. That works in his benefit. Very brutal choice for camping. Depending on the season, this is a horrible choice. As a child, I always was taken to Scotland, because back in the day, my parents didn't really let me travel, or we couldn't really afford to travel. So we went to Scotland. We wanted something different. I live in quite a flat county. Scotland, with the mountains, close enough to being its own country anyway. It pretty much was closest thing to going abroad to maybe the Alps or something, seeing a different landscape entirely. I love Scotland. I would never want to camp in Scotland, but it is absolutely beautiful. I definitely recommend going. Go to Scotland at some point. Scotland is absolutely gorgeous. Go and check out the Fort William area. Go and check out Edinburgh. As soon as I heard Scotland, I was immediately going, we're going to get kelpies. There's definitely going to be kelpies next week. The great seahorse of the lake. I can't wait to see it, because I've seen many different variants of the kelpie in games and literature. The latest one I think was in God of War Ragnarok. We had the kelpies, which I saw some guy going through how accurate bits and pieces were, and the kelpie was a big no-no for him. He wasn't happy with how it was portrayed. Plus, it really didn't really have any business being in the game. I think we definitely have kelpies coming next week, so I'll be excited to see their portrayal and what's going to happen with the kelpie. I never went camping with my school. I know some schools do, so maybe I just went to really boring schools, but I will say my school had a farm. So I was too busy learning about chickens and stuff. You could take a tractor license. If you were really going to go rural, used to be quite a rural town. We used to be surrounded by fields, but they are now building this place up like crazy. I want to go into farming and agriculture. They would allow you to take the course, so you could take an A-level in agriculture, and you could also learn how to drive a tractor and get your license for a tractor. There's my really random cool fact for you guys about where I grew up. These guys go camping. I have always been kind of interested in camping, but I also deep down think that I would hate camping. I like the idea of cooking on an open stove. I love the idea of reenactment and making things and learning how to cook. I don't think I'd enjoy getting wet, being cold, miserable half the time. I don't think I'd enjoy it. If you do go to Scotland, I also recommend trying out a chalet or a lodge, because you are pretty much got your own little wooden building out with a beautiful view, enjoying Scotland. It's absolutely lovely, and you can get some really nice little deals going on, which are sometimes cheaper than hotels, but you will have to probably self-cater for yourself. Elias, once again, ghosting does kind of make me wonder why he bothered to go with a disguise at all. If the school seems pretty chill with letting him stalk Jisei anyway, just let him do his thing. He's just the overprotective student of his master. Something unpleasant is doing some stalking right at the end. Does make me wonder if it is the gift, but then that makes me wonder why she would go all out and trying to attack Chisei. We will definitely learn a bit more about her at some point, but she's a very mysterious character. But we see her in the end credits with Chisei and her little gatherings. At some point, I'm expecting her to join the group, but I don't quite know how or when that's going to happen yet. But a fantastic episode. I really enjoyed this week's episode. A lot of interest going on, a lot of nice little topics, and I have fun discussing it, especially when I get to go off topic occasionally. Thank you guys so much. I hope you're looking after yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.